Hi, everyone. We are here with Stephanie. We are going to try to make it super interesting. Stephanie, I want to open the floor to you so you can give everybody a quick intro, explain who you are, and we'll start from there.
First of all, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be a part of this. I've been obsessed with your product for a long time. It's been awesome to have it in my own house. And I'm excited because I recently, like 4 months ago, started an Instagram called Building Brilliant Brains. I'm a pediatric chiropractor. I've been a chiropractor for 15 years. I am a mother of three. I have a 5 year old, a 3 year old, and a 6 month old. And with the 6 month old, I decided to start this Instagram to really show people what to do and what I do with my kids to get all that input up to their brains. It's been really exciting because it just makes me feel like people want this information and it's different, right? I've been having such a blast. I feel like it's me and my daughter's little project together. So we're having a lot of fun with it.
That's great. So just tell everybody again, what is your Instagram handle so they can go and check it out?
Good call. It's called Building Brilliant Brains. And so it's
Building.
just, Building Brilliant Brains.
Perfect. I love your content. It's super spot on because a lot of parents don't have a professional education on how to raise a child. So
Right.
that's why we are having you. I just want to get right into it. And from your standpoint, what are the first things that you were looking at other parents before even you were a parent and you were like, oh my God, I wish they knew. Oh my God, this is a terrible mistake they do. What are the things that shock you or make your mind explode?
Okay, so the thing that probably makes me the most crazy, if you will, is people that say that like milestones don't matter and that it will happen eventually, which can be true, right? And my favorite person to learn from has been like the Doman Institute. And I've read all their books, I've taken their courses. I'm just obsessed with their information. And one of the things that they say is, yeah, the brain can develop through some happy accidents, or you can do it on purpose. And as a parent, so much fun to do it on purpose and to get to be this purposeful parent, helping your baby's brain develop and grow. A lot of people, I think, believe that it's just on a time clock and that, oh, they're 2 months old, they're going to do this. Oh, they're 4 months old, they're going to do this. And like, that's not how the brain develops. The brain develops through use and develops through your body. And especially when we're really little, like, we're only getting tons of input in through our senses and touch and body movement is one of the number one ways that we can develop the brain. And the brain develops from the brainstem up to the cortex where we can actually really learn. And the faster that we do that, we have to do that through our body. And therefore, that's how kids can become smarter. And that's what I'm really passionate about is that not only do we help the brain develop through those stages, but also that they develop this love for learning because the faster you get up to the cortex, the easier that it is, and the more that it just makes it way more fun, right?
So essentially, from what I see, from what I observe, is that parents hear milestone, right? And then some get obsessed with it. They're like, oh my God, my child didn't hit it on a day, on this 31st day of the month. And then they hear, oh, don't worry about it. You can just revisit that milestone in 2 months. So what happens so do parents have to be obsessed with it or not so much?
It just depends. And this is one of the things that I said when I developed Building Brilliant Brains is it's my Instagram's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for the parents that are like, oh my God, don't crawl. Or the parents that are like, please don't take that first step. I'm not ready for you to take off running yet. Like, that's not what I'm all about. I am here for those moms that want to see their kids flourish and thrive, right? And I will say sometimes I am a little bit more obsessed with the milestones because I know what it means. I understand the bigger picture that it's not just about them crawling. It's about the fact of what crawling is doing for their brain, which is going to affect them for the rest of their lives.
Got it.
I heard this analogy one time and I think it's one of my favorite analogies and I think it makes more sense why you want to get the brain developed early, right? Is imagine you have this window and you can throw balls through the window and you're throwing balls through the window is much like getting information into the brain when the baby is born, right? Like you've got this wide open area. Every day, the windows are closing, okay? Because our brain, we have less and less access to our brain as we grow and develop and as we get older, right? And so every day, like yesterday, I have less ability to learn than I do today, right? That's how the brain works. And so the thing is that those doors close very quickly in the first 3 years and really in the first 6 years, right? And then you can't throw as many balls through there and it's harder to get those balls in there. But if you throw them through earlier, it's so much easier to get more balls through there. Do you know what I mean? You have
So you
more
have a
balls.
larger window of opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm passionate about milestones, and parents that understand that, I feel, are also passionate about it. And it's okay to be obsessed with it. It's about your baby's brain excitement. It is awesome. You have to me, this is how I feel is that it is our job as parents to put your baby in an environment that is optimal for brain development. And so giving your baby the opportunities or your kids the opportunities to create new neural connections, that's our job. It's the coolest job ever, I think.
Have you come across this issue when some parents believe that there's nothing they can do about it? Do you feel that could be a part of the problem, that they just don't know that it's possible to move the milestones forward?
Exactly, and I think that a lot of that has to do with education. For example, I just wanna go circle back to Doman. Their whole program was developed based on brain injury, and they were dealing with brain injured children. They were delayed because they had all these brain issues, and so what they were trying to do is they know that the brain is what they call neuroplastic, which means that the brain can constantly be developing new connections and pathways, and it can repath. So even around injuries, you have the ability to rehab. It's not as easy, but you have to train it. And again, when you're little, it's way easier to do it than when you're older. So the earlier that you're doing these repathings, like it's so much simpler in that way. And what they were finding was as they're teaching these brain injured children, their siblings around them are reading at 3 and doing incredible things physically. And because they were doing the things that their sibling was doing because they were there, just like they were in the environment. And so that's where they found that by training the brain and really putting that input in, that's how the brain grows and develops. And we can do it on purpose. And so I think that a lot of the times parents just don't know.
But let's assume for a brand new parent that has no idea about what can be done, what are the first easy, low hanging fruits that anybody can do? What are these? What's the formula? What's the secret sauce? What can be done?
Okay, so I think the number one principle, the number one thing that parents of new babies need to understand is that a baby on their back can't get information into the brain. There's not much that can go in. Yes, there's a little bit of visual, a little bit of sound, a little bit of that. But when they're laying on, I've heard it described as it's almost like having a turtle on their back. They can move, but they don't get a lot of input. And so if you think about all the containers that are out there, swings and car seats and just rock and plays, like all of these different things, they're laying the baby on their back with no ability to really get any input. And so the number one thing, and if you look at the development of the brain and how it works, is getting those babies on their bellies and spending as much time with them on their bellies, whether that means that they are on you and you're leaned back and they're getting to work that neck and starting to get the development of those neck muscles, then moving down into their trunk, then down into their pelvis. That's how they get mobile, and mobility is how they're gonna move.
Okay. So, and then when the baby gets a little bit older, what else can be done? What are the other tricks and formulas?
Yes, the movement is so important. So one of our big things that we are huge about, and I think one of the biggest reasons why we're talking right now is like really developing like the grasp reflex, right? So we do that from day one. It is there, it is present, it is there so that like baby can hold on to mama, right? But the thing is like that is an immature brain. Like that's done through something very subconscious. They're not consciously grabbing on. The actual grasp reflex is actually the inability to let go, right? And so by working on the grasp reflex, by doing things like starting to hang your baby, they build some strength, but also they start to understand, oh, wait, I can let go. And that's an actual like maturation of the brain, getting up through like from the brainstem, moving up to the pons, then to the medulla, the different areas of the brain, so that it can continue up to move up to the cortex, right? The quicker that happens, and hanging such an outstanding way to do it, and there's other benefits. That's going to be a huge piece in manual competence, which is basically going to allow you to run and draw and all the things, play piano, doing hand eye coordination kinds of things. All of that is developed within starting with that grasp reflex. The grasp reflex has to disappear in order for you to be able to have good handwriting, to be able to have good hand-eye coordination, that can't still be intact. And it's one of those things that, yes, can it happen by happy accidents? Absolutely. But it's even better when you can train it on purpose.
Yeah, so it's almost like an accelerator, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a huge body of research, scientifically proven research on how brain develops and the connection between something simple as the reflexes all the way to your writing skills, and then you can extrapolate it to the rest of the lives. Talk a little bit about that. How do these things connect? What are the surprising findings that you know of, or some interesting things for people to know and understand? What they do today is going to impact kids tomorrow.
I really am like a huge believer of understanding like that the brain starts with that subconscious experience, right? There's tons of primitive reflexes. I've done or the full series on primitive reflexes, and that is our immature brain. But kids with ADHD, kids with autism, kids that have had any type of brain injury, they have retained their reflexes. And it's one of the things that you can find. You can talk to any OT about that. Like they know that if those reflexes remain intact, their brain is immature. They don't emotionally regulate properly. Like they don't, there's a ton of things that it impacts, like their ability to read, their ability to write, their ability to focus, because it's almost like their brain is immature, right? And so you have to get those reflexes integrated in order to really live a normal, healthy, happy life. And it's a great way to train their systems is to start working on the grasp reflex early, to stimulate the bottoms of the feet and getting rid of that Bavinsky reflex. Like the Rudy reflex is another one. There's tons of them. And the thing is, yes, a lot of the times it can happen through our normal, natural daily lifestyle. But why count on that when it makes this much of an impact on whether your child can go to school later?
Yeah. Let me ask you an interesting question about the toys. There's Montessori, Waldorf, and many other school of thoughts on in terms of what kind of toys have to be around the kid. Are they supposed to be colorful? Are they helpful? Or are they just what's good to have a whole closet of toys, or just to have one? And can you give me your opinion, or share your knowledge, expertise on toys in general?
The biggest thing that I always loved hearing is toys are really tools, you know? If you think about it that way, they're really tools, whether we're using them to develop their visual, their mobility, whether we're using them to just have an understanding of cause and effect. And sometimes it's just to entertain them so you can get something done. And so through my time having three kids, I've done tons of different kinds of toys within that time period. I like having a purpose to each toy. So starting off with more black and white toys, because then I know that no matter what they're doing, they're developing their vision, and that vision is so important. And then adding a little bit of color to it, but then also continuing as they get older to have more toys that are a little bit more focused on whatever it is that we're working to develop. And one of our toys in our house is our Brainrich kids gym, because that thing gets used, I'm not kidding you, like 10 times a day. And to me, that's my
Yeah.
favorite piece of toys that I've ever bought.
I want to see your setup and do a little walkthrough and see, but just so everybody understands, you have three kids, right? So they're all different ages, right?
5, 3, and 6 months.
So who uses this and how, and what have you noticed? What are the differences in, like, before and after?
Okay, so I have to just give you a little bit of a background. So, in taking dome and stuff, I wanted a set of monkey bars in my house no matter what. Like, hands down, I was going to have a set of monkey bars in my house. And so, when Alex was little, my 5-year old, I found, I think on Amazon, a wooden one that we were able to like put together, but it wasn't very big. And I mean, it made me happy for the time period, but I knew it wasn't going to be the thing. Do you know what I mean? And, but they give you instructions in the books of like how to build your own, and they're wooden and they're enormous. And like, I don't know. I was willing to do it, but it was going to be an endeavor, right? So when I found your guys'
Yeah.
equipment and found that I didn't have to drill holes into my ceilings and it was this full suspension like equipment and that we could hang on it too, I was in. And so that is like one of the best things that we've added to our house. But my kids, both of like my older ones, will be on it before breakfast. I can be in there making breakfast and they are up, who knows, like being some type of superhero most of the time, being on top of the world, looking at themselves in the mirror.
Yes. I remember on your Instagram, I love one particular post when you are with your essentially newborn and you're showing that reflex. I was actually surprised to learn that you can literally take a newborn and they will be able to hang there and hold their entire body weight on your
Yeah,
fingers. So I
their
was
entire
surprised to see that. Yeah, that was really interesting. Can we take a quick look at your setup? I don't know if you're able to walk and all this stuff. That would be super cool to see.
I'll bring you upstairs. Sorry, I'm downstairs, but absolutely, I'll show you guys.
We'll see the natural
Um,
one.
so what we did was we took our dining room, which who really hangs out in a dining room anymore? We have a great table. And so actually, are they in here? Yep. They're even in here. So this is Alex. And this
Hi,
is actually
Alex.
common activity. This is Karen. She's actually just reading Harry Potter to him, and he sits there or gets up on the swing, up on the monkey bars. Alex, can you show him your skills? You can see like our tray ceilings. This is, like I said, it's set up for a dining room, but I just added this to be able to put my little one in so she can swing. And oftentimes they do that while they're reading as well. And you can see the full setup. We've got that ladder and you gonna show them, Alex? No? Here and a slide down here. This is like really like absolutely amazing.
Can you talk a little bit about outdoor versus indoor play? And sometimes people say, "Hey, what happened to the outdoor play?" And we tell
Absolutely.
people we just want them to play everywhere. But talk a little bit about that. What do you think?
So I think it's important. I'm a huge fan of we do 1,000 hours outside. We're actually just getting ready to hit our 1,000 hours. So outdoor play is extremely important. But the fact of the matter is you're not outside all the time. And sometimes you need, especially as parents, you need to get things done within your home. I am very huge on no TV and then we don't have screen much for screen time. Even with my 5 year old, he barely gets any screen time. And this is the way to do it because they end up spending so much time developing their bodies, playing, being kids. And but the fact of the matter is, you can't be outside all the time. The 1,000 hours is just under 3 hours a day. And like I said, we're about to hit that in November, which I'm pretty pumped up and proud of. We just missed it last year. So I'm so happy to be hitting this year. But that is so I wouldn't say it discounts spending time outside. It's not like my kids are ever, oh my God, but I got to go inside and play on the jungle gym. We have an incredible outdoor experience as well. I think you can do both. I think it's really important that the time that they're spending inside, they're not stuck in front of a TV or think that they're bored. Like you can always be like, go in the jungle gym room. And you know what? They want to, once a kid knows how to do monkey bars, you can't keep them off of them. It's so cool.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, your honest opinion. So, in terms of safety, so some people say, wow, this is so dangerous because they just see a structure and somehow they imagine that these things are not so safe. So, I don't want to plant any thoughts in your head. So, I'm just going to leave a question open ended and just hear your true opinion about
Okay,
this.
so here's my opinion about that is you have got to give your kids the opportunity to build their bodies to be stronger. And so if you've seen my page, you've also seen that I encourage my kids to jump from high surfaces. I encourage them to engage in some more dangerous activities carefully. And so it's not saying, "Oh, Alex, be careful when you do that." It's more, what are you focusing on? What's your plan? What's your next move? Really helping them think through those kinds of situations. I read the book Grow Wild by Katie
Mhm.
Bowman. She also wrote the book Move Your DNA, and she is super sciencey. And she talks about how, like, if you don't give your kids the opportunity to experience some of those forces, how are they building their bodies? Their bodies are going to be weak. And so then when they do that one big tall jump or they go to a trampoline park where they've barely jumped before, those are the kids that are going to get hurt. And so giving your kids, like, even you guys saw how high that is up as for, like, my kids jump off the top of it. You know what I mean? And I hope that because put I put gymnastics mats down and when people are at my house, they're always like, what are you doing? And I'm telling you, it's the best thing you can do for your kid's body. It's the best way to protect them is to allow them to have some of those experiences because physiologically, it's going to stress the bone. So the bone knows it has to grow back stronger. The ligaments have to be stronger. They have to withhold that kind of force. And so it's really cool to have it in your house. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
they can practice and do that and get stronger all the time. When I think about, I can't wait until my kids are really involved in sports and just to see how protected their systems are. Because even still, I have 2 boys. I'm like, I always hear about emergency room experiences and stuff like that. And still, I think it's because I allow them to do some of those things that really kept us away from any of those kinds of experiences.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of parents, and sometimes I'm thinking to myself, if that was me, but I'm biased, and I'm saying you have this 24/7 in the convenience, safety of your house. You can supervise them. You have mats. You carefully design it. You clear the space and things like that. Versus the outdoor playground. I love being outdoors,
Right.
but there's no rubber coated rungs over there. There's no mats and all this stuff. And the outdoor playgrounds designed for kids of all ages, so versus you have a training ground, you build your confidence skills at home, and then you go to the outdoor playground with all the balance or coordination, and then you excel. So that's my input on this. But some parents struggle to see it's like freakonomics, right? When you see danger where the actual statistical danger is not there, it's the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I love that you hit on the confidence thing too, because I really do think that's one of the big things is my kids love to do this. And then my kids will go to the playground and they're like, "You're how old? How are you able to do that?" Like, how, like, other kids comment on it all the time. They're like, "How are you able to? You look like a real monkey." And it's because they get to do it here all the time, you know?
Yeah, we get that too. My nieces, they went to gymnastics and their ligaments were so strong. Her coach was saying like, we spend months just to build the ligament strength first. And then we start doing all these things, but your kid is ready. And we're like, wow,
Right.
okay, cool. We didn't know.
It's funny because on my posts, I've shown my 5-month-old hanging from my fingers and fully suspending their body, and everybody's, "Oh my gosh, that's a great way to get nursemaid's elbow," or "That's a great way to." That is not the same. If the kid is engaged in what they're doing, that gives the body protection. But also the exposure previous, building them up, building that strength, getting their bodies like able to do that is a huge part physiologically creating that within their bodies, which stress is a great thing to grow. Like, if you think about lifting weights, you're lifting weights to break down the muscle to then allow your body to build it back up. The same thing with stress with your kids. If you want to build some strong, healthy, resilient humans, you got to let them stress their bodies.
Yeah. I have another question. What do you think about climbing the furniture? Or what do you think about those parents that say, okay, we'll naturally let the kid develop whatever the skills they want using whatever we have in the house? I forgot the number of the kids that unfortunately literally get injured and die every year because of the furniture that was not attached to the wall.
Yeah, I think that it's all about what you want to invest in your kids. I think that yes, we have furniture. I wouldn't say that my kids don't jump on my furniture, but I think it's a lot better to have a specific area for them to really grow and develop and know that, hey, this is for climbing, and having an appreciation and understanding of this is for climbing, this is for jumping off of this. But we also have areas in the house that's not okay. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of
Yeah.
the times for your safety, because that is true. Like that all the time that furniture can fall over on kids, or like my couch is not cheap. So I don't really need them messing that up super fast, you know? But I will say most of the stuff in my house, I definitely have here knowing that I have little kids. But I think it just makes such a huge difference to have an area where they, because this is the fact of the matter, like kids are made to move. They're made to move. They're made to jump off of things. They want to climb. That's innate within them because that's how they're going to be their strongest version of themselves. And being able to say, hey, don't climb that, but go in the jungle gym room. You guys go have fun. Oh, okay. It gives them that option. You're not shutting them down as a child and that innate desire for them to climb and jump and hang and swing on things, but yet you're also keeping them safe.
Can you share with people any useful toy, no matter the price, no matter that is? What did you find a good buy, good tool, good thing to have? And did you actually see a good return on investment when you spend more money on something like this? Or maybe you can give people ideas of what else can be done for maybe the same benefit.
My opinion is you got to make it convenient. Because if, for example, we have a whole playroom upstairs, but our kitchen, we live on our main floor, which is where our dining room is, which is where I have the Brainrich kids stuff, the like jungle gym. I really feel the more convenience that you bring to it. So even for example, if I would have put that upstairs instead of right here, I don't know if it would be used as much. Do you know what I mean? So I think that it's all about creating convenience because if you create the convenience around them being able to be active and being able to do that, to just make it easy, it makes all the difference in the world because who cares if you have equipment or you have toys if they're stuck upstairs and nobody's going to go up there because they're scared of the dark or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And so I think that the biggest thing with that, and I don't know if this is really answering your question, but is creating, if you're going to buy something, you have to put it in a place where you're really going to use it. And even just with our outdoor equipment, it's off to the side of the house over there and down the hill a little bit. We end up using the stuff in our dining room because of the convenience of it so much more. Now, we'll make the effort and we'll go down there. I make that happen because being outside is a high priority to me, right? But I really feel the convenience factor is what is gonna give you the biggest bang for your buck because making it just there and available, it gets used all the time. Like I said, honestly, my kids are on our jungle gym before breakfast. Like they're doing that before they're doing anything. And it's because and the newness of that doesn't wear off. It's innate. It's in their bodies. They need to move, they need to climb, they need to hang, they need to swing. Like, they need it. It's developing their brain, and they know that innately without you ever even having to teach them that.
Got it. I want to open the floor and let you share a couple more things that you would like to share with everybody.
Okay, awesome. One thing that I feel like we just didn't get a chance to talk about is the incredible benefits of hanging and what it does for the chest and for the brain and the fact
Uh,
of getting more oxygen to your brain. So, one of the things that I just want to hit on, just because I think it's really important for people that are considering getting something for their house like this, is not only does it help in the development of the brain, but also helps in the development of the chest cavity. And so, as you stress the body, as you're hanging, and it's most important, in my opinion, to do that during development when the body's growing, right? You're going to increase your body's ability to handle oxygen. You think about respiratory infections. Anytime my kids have ever gotten a cough, it's never been anything. Do you know what I mean? It's never been anything that I've had to worry about because their lungs are so strong because of the opening of their chest cavity. I know with Doman, that was one of the big things is kids with Down syndrome oftentimes have tiny little chests. And so that's one of the big things that they wanted to do is help with that chest expansion. And that's why hanging and brachiation and monkey bars is like such a huge part of their program is because you have to open up the chest to be able to have the lung capacity to be so strong to make sure that you don't get respiratory infections. And then you also think about sports and optimizing your capacity cardiovascularly. And so there's so many benefits just sitting in that one exercise of hanging and doing the monkey bars that I just think it's so easy. Why not start from the day that they're born? And that's what I'm super passionate about. And I think it's just such a cool experience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stephanie. I want to remind that you have an incredible Instagram account. You mentioned about the chest opening. I did see that post. That was something interesting. I didn't know how important that was, but it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Everybody, once again, building brilliant brains. This is Dr. Stephanie's Instagram. We're looking forward to hear more from you, and we would love to learn more from you. So thank you so much for your time. Maybe when we post this podcast on our social media, we'll open up for a question. Maybe it will be around two. I'm pretty sure people will have a ton of questions to you.
Oh,
So
I
thank
would
you
love
so much.
Please feel free to send me anything. I love this stuff. It's my total obsession. It combines with chiropractic so well and developing the brain and your equipment is just an awesome way to do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie. So I will be looking at your Instagram. I know you put a lot of content to give holiday guides and things like that. And maybe we'll do something else together. Actually, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure you can deliver so much more value to our audience. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.